You don't have slow hands, you just need to start doing a couple of things that you're not doing. And the best part is they're super simple fixes. So literally as soon as you watch this video, you can implement these things in your game and instantly increase your hand speed. That and much more is what we're gonna be talking about in this video. Let's open the playbook. And by the way, if you are new here, Pickleball Playbook is a place that you can come to learn new strategies, tactics, and techniques to help increase your duper level and ultimately win more. So if that sounds like you, be sure to subscribe, and my promise to you is that you will improve your pickleball game. If you're already subscribed, I appreciate you so much. Let's hop into it. All right, number one is becoming one with your paddle through hand-eye coordination drills. So the way that I like to think about my paddle is an extension of my hand. So if I can make my paddle feel like my hand, then I'm gonna be way more consistent at hitting the sweet spot on it. I'm gonna have faster hands. Everything's just gonna all around be more comfortable. So the more that I can treat my paddle like a hand, and I can, catch balls just like how I can with my hand, or bounce back and forth. Little simple drills just like this will help you to increase your hand speed because it becomes an extension of your hand. It essentially, hopefully becomes your hand. And so this is very overlooked, and a lot of people will think, I don't need hand-eye coordination drills in order to get faster hands, but it's one of the most essential things that you can do to instantly increase your hand speed and overall just help you be able to track the ball better and play better pickleball. So here are 3 hand-eye coordination drills that I like to do to increase my hand speed. The first is alternating volleys. So I'm just simply alternating from forehand to backhand, back and forth. My main focus here is to hit my sweet spot. A lot of players don't know where their sweet spot is on their paddle, and it actually comes down to the paddle shape, but generally your sweet spot isn't gonna be right in the center of your paddle. Instead, it's gonna be slightly up, right around here. We don't want to go too high, but right around here is the sweet spot. Something to note is that in order to hit the ball faster, we want to hit higher up on our paddle. The higher up we hit, the more leverage our paddle has and the more plow through that we're going to get. The lower we hit, the less power. So something to take note of is that's why sweet spots are up here. It's a big reason, is because you're going to get more power and more pop on your ball by hitting it. So don't aim to hit it at the center of your paddle. Aim to hit it here. So that's the first one, alternating volleys back and forth. The second one is catch volleys back and forth. And this one's a little bit more tricky, but we're just alternating while catching the ball. And you'll probably want to start with just catching on the same exact side. And the way that you're going to do that is you want to catch the ball while your paddle is vertical. So it's vertical, and then you're slowly scooping underneath the ball. Same exact thing on the backhand side, and we're scooping underneath the ball. When we're alternating, we're essentially just doing this exact drill, but instead we're doing that exact thing, vertical, scooping under the ball. And this isn't a stroke that you're gonna do in pickleball. You obviously can't catch and throw the ball, but what it's doing is it's helping it feel like it's an extension of our hand. It helps it feel more like it's our hand. We're gonna have faster hand speed just from simply doing that. That's what's incredible about hand-eye coordination drills. And then the last one, and this is super simple, but it's one of my favorites, is just simply bouncing the ball on both sides of the paddle and trying to hit that sweet spot over and over and over again. And notice I'm not hopping around as I'm doing this. I'm trying to do this, which you probably will if it's the very first time that you ever do it, but I'm trying to do this while standing in the same exact position. The reason for that is because what we practice is how we'll play. And so if you practice and you're just constantly moving around to find where that ball is, you're gonna be moving while you're making contact with the ball. And if you're moving while you're making contact, you're obviously not gonna be super consistent because your eyes aren't able to focus. Any movement at all makes it very hard for our eyes to focus and for us to hit the sweet spot. So those are the 3 drills, the hand-eye coordination drills that you can do to instantly increase your hand speed. So there's all kinds of hand-eye coordination drills that you can do, but also what's very essential for increasing that hand speed is wall and volley drills. A wall, because a wall never misses, and the closer that you get to the wall, the faster your hands have to be. And then obviously for volley drills, it's more accurate for if you're playing in a match, because if you're playing against a person, they're gonna hit with different spins. And also if you hit it hard at them, maybe they'll hit it hard back, or maybe they'll hit it soft back. So it gives you a more accurate depiction of what it would actually be like to play in a match. So both are absolutely essential for increasing your hand speed. If you wanna know what wall and volley drills to do, simply comment the word drill below and I'll send you a link to download the Pickleball Drills app. This app has hundreds of different drills to help you increase your hand speed and overall improve your entire pickleball game. So whether you want to work on your drops, your drives, your volleys, whatever it might be, it has the drills with video instruction in there, and practical tips to help you take your game to the next level. I actually started drilling because of my friend Jace. We played together one of the very first times that I ever played pickleball, and we were at the same exact level. And then we played 2 months later, and he destroyed our entire group, and we were all just baffled. And so we asked him, what have you been doing to get so good at pickleball? And he shared that he had been drilling. And so from that point on, I started drilling, and I went from losing a 4-0 tournament that same exact month to winning a 5-0 tournament 3 months later. And it all came from drilling and getting those reps in. So I know what a big game changer drilling can be, and that's why I created this app. I know that it will help you improve. It'll also be in the top link of this description. Be sure to check it out. Number 5 to increasing your hand speed is making sure that you have the correct grip for your strong suit. So for me personally, I like to counter with my forehand as much as possible. And if someone will hit it at my body, I like to slide to the side and still counter with the forehand. That's just more comfortable for me. But maybe you're the absolute opposite and the backhand feels much, much better to you. And so starting with the forehand side, if you enjoy countering on the forehand and you feel like that's your strong suit, I would suggest using an Eastern forehand grip. If you don't know how to find an Eastern forehand grip, the Eastern forehand is where you put your paddle totally horizontal like this, and this top bevel right here is where you're going to put the inside of your index knuckle and the bottom of your palm pad. For Continental, you're going to flip your paddle onto its side just like this, and you're going to move over one bevel to this side bevel right here if you're righty. If you're lefty, it's going to be this bevel over here. And right there is where you're going to align your index knuckle and your palm pad. So Continental is going to be best for countering on that backhand side. Eastern forehand is going to be best for countering on the forehand side. Just remember, if you're using Eastern forehand and they hit it to your backhand side, you still have to be able to counter on your backhand side. So make sure that you don't go too far over into that frying pan grip. That'll make that counter extremely difficult. So yeah, you probably have slow hands because you've been holding the wrong grip that doesn't favor your strong suit. Tip number 4 is to loosen your grip pressure. So this is one that's very overlooked that not a lot of people pay attention to, but it's absolutely essential and it will increase your hand speed. 100%. It'll also increase the amount of power and pop that you can hit with. And so a lot of players, whenever we get into a hands battle, get super stiff. And you probably get super stiff. I know I get super stiff. And it's really important to try to practice loosening that grip pressure. Obviously, the way that you're going to do that is by getting reps in, get out and drill. That's going to be the most essential thing for getting used to being in a hands battle with loose grip pressure. It instantly increases your hand speed. And so you have to get out and you have to practice doing it. If you think about if we're tight while in a hands battle and I'm squeezing that super tight because my stress levels are super high, I'm gonna be later getting to the ball than if I'm loose. If I'm loose, I have the ability to move quicker and more fluidly. If you think about a pitcher in baseball, if they try to throw the ball as hard as they can, they're gonna be really stiff. And when they're stiff, their ball doesn't go as fast as it possibly can. Whereas if they try to go at about 90% of what they can actually do, their arm automatically relaxes and they're able to throw harder. So it's interesting that you can throw harder, and the same thing applies to hitting a serve in pickleball or a serve in tennis. You can actually throw harder by being more relaxed. So simply loosen that grip pressure, get reps in with a looser grip pressure. You'll automatically hit the ball harder and you'll have faster hands. Number 3 is using the correct hinge. This is an absolutely mind-blowing tip that I learned from Johnson Cola. Be sure to go check out his channel. He has some awesome tips on there. He's a great pro player. So what it is not locking your wrist. So many players will be in their ready position because they were taught to have their paddle way up here just like this, and their wrist is locked. And so they're in a hands battle, and what this automatically does with the hands battle is, if you haven't noticed, I'm now using my wrist as I rotate through the shot. I'm using my wrist, 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 wrist. Your wrist isn't going to have as much speed as if you hinge from your elbow instead. So using the wrist as a hinge is going to be a whole lot slower reacting to the ball than if I use the elbow to react to the ball. So I'm able to go like this, whereas with the wrist, not only does it hurt, but it's going to be a whole lot slower. Obviously, for some certain shots, in order to hit down on the ball, you're going to want to use a little bit of wrist. But for the most part, you want to take away that hinge at the wrist and just utilize the elbow and arm hinge as you're coming through. This is going to help you react to the ball a whole lot faster. Okay? And so what you're doing is you're relaxing at the wrist here so that as if you were to draw an arrow from elbow all the way out your hand. And then when you react to the ball and you come on top of it, you're utilizing the stronger part of your arm that's going to be a whole lot faster rather than this weak wrist part. So it's kind of a hard concept to wrap your head around. Ultimately, you're gonna be a whole lot faster if you can just relax that wrist and then utilize that elbow as your hinge when you're in the hands battle in comparison to this, which I see so many people do. Now with that, this is a bonus tip that's gonna absolutely change the way that you think about your ready position and overall increase your hand speed. So a lot of players have different ready positions. In case you haven't noticed, Annalie Waters' ready positions like this because she has a two-hander. We got JW Johnson way down here. We got Ben Johns a little bit up here, Hayden Patriquin kind of right here. Everybody has a slightly different ready position, and that's because their ready position is specific to their game and helping them play the best pickleball possible. So starting with Annalie Waters, because she has obviously her wrist cocked backwards in her ready position, that's just simply because she has a two-handed backhand. When we have a two-handed backhand, we're gonna load up and then break our wrist and then crack through the ball. Whereas with a one-handed backhand, that's not gonna happen, okay? We're just gonna be up here and we're gonna be in this awkward position. It's hard to break your wrist and have control at the same time. So since she has a two-handed backhand, she's starting with her paddle tip pointing relatively upwards towards the sky, and she has two hands on the paddle, that wrist is locked. And then she's able to create that C every single time that you see her hit those beautiful shots in hands battles. So that's Annalie Waters. So if you have a two-hander, that's what I suggest. Other than that, keep your wrist broken if you don't have a two-hander. So next we have Ben Johns. Ben Johns' ready position is relatively pointing towards his opponents right here. He's relaxed, and this allows him to be able to use that lever from his elbow and hinge from there as he's in these hands battles. It also gives you the opportunity to use two hands if you want to. And I personally like to have two hands on the paddle majority of the time in my ready position, just in case I'm gonna hit a two-handed backhand, because I have obviously that option to hit a two-handed backhand or a one-handed backhand because I've gotten out and I've drilled the two-handed backhand, right? And a two-handed backhand is gonna be super beneficial for control. A one-hander doesn't have as much control as soon as the ball gets far away from us. And it's almost impossible to hit topspin on the ball when it gets far away from us. Whereas with a two-handed backhand, we can easily hit topspin because I'm just simply doing a windshield wiper motion with my non-dominant hand. And so I'm able to brush over the ball with two hands. With one hand, it's gonna be way harder to brush over the ball and keep it in the court, keep it consistent. So if you're one of those players that has a two-handed backhand part of the time, like me, and then a one-handed backhand the other part of the time, you can just keep that hand on your paddle here at the throat. This will help you have faster hands as well, especially through your load up. So Ben Johns is here, and what you'll see is he sometimes will grab the throat of his paddle. Oftentimes he just keeps it to where he just has one hand on the paddle. But this helps him to utilize that lever from the elbow. And then we have JW Johnson, who is down here. Now something to consider with JW Johnson's ready position is that it's peculiar, okay? It's different from everybody else. It's a little bit weird. But he also has the fastest hands in all of pickleball. If you talk to anybody, everybody says JW's hands are faster than everybody else, and noticeably faster, which is insane because all pros' hands are really, really fast. And so he's down here with his ready position. His tip of his paddle is kind of pointing towards the ground, towards his opponent's kitchen. And from this position, you would think that you would have a hard time getting up to hit the ball. But what it's doing is it's automatically relaxing his arms. And so since he's relaxed, his reaction times are a whole lot faster. Whereas if you're up here, you're gonna be really stiff because you have to hold your paddle up in this position. And so that's gonna slow down your hand speed unless you have the two-hander like we talked about before. And so he's in this position, and what this allows is that any ball that goes below his knees, he's going to automatically reset the ball. He's going to block it. He's gonna hit it into the kitchen. He's gonna neutralize the point. Take his opponent's offense to automatic defense. Anything that's below. Anything that's above, he's going to counter with topspin up the ball automatically, because he's just finding where the ball is at. He's tracking the ball, he finds the ball. And by so doing, he's coming up and creating that topspin, which is exactly what you want when you're in hands battle, because topspin brings the ball back down into the court. And so this is a brilliant ready position for those two reasons. And also because if you think about a boxer, in order to stay relaxed, a boxer is going to be down here in their position. They're gonna be in this position. They're obviously gonna be blocking their face, but a lot of the time they'll be relaxed down here when they're just hitting jabs. And so they'll be relaxed and then blocking with this hand. And so since you're relaxed, it allows you to be able to hit faster. Same exact thing if you're relaxed with your paddle. So maybe that ready position makes more sense to you. I favor the Ben Johns ready position. It's that perfect in-between for me where I can not only be relaxed, but also I feel like my paddle is at the correct position so that I make the right decision, like we talked about before. If the ball goes below my paddle, I'm gonna reset. If the ball goes above my paddle, I'm gonna hit a counter with topspin. So figure out a ready position that works for you, and don't forget to utilize your elbow as the hinge so that you can leverage it as you hit through the ball, and ultimately you'll have faster reactions. Okay, we're on tip number 2, which means we're almost to tip number 1, which is gonna blow your mind. This is also a fantastic tip, but it's just to simply hold on to the throat of your paddle. Now, this is regardless of if you have a one-hander or a two-hander. This is something that I have found to be super beneficial for helping me react faster. And here's why. If I have my non-dominant hand holding onto the throat of my paddle, it restricts me from loading up too far if I have that hand on. If I take the hand off, I can load up too far. And if you load up beyond your peripheral vision or beyond your shoulder here, you're going to hit that ball long, first of all. Second of all, you're gonna be late making contact with the ball, especially if they're hitting it fast. That's way too big of a load up. And it's the same exact thing on the forehand side. I load up and then I'm hitting through that ball. If I load up here, now it's out of my peripheral. But if I'm holding onto my paddle, it can't possibly go out of my peripheral. So as soon as I'm gonna hit the ball, I'm letting go and then hitting through the ball. It's the same exact thing on the backhand side. But I can still see it in my side eye, and that's really important. You don't want it to go beyond that because of those two reasons. You're gonna hit the ball long and you're gonna be late making contact with that next ball. So I suggest holding onto the throat of your paddle in your ready position, regardless of if you have a two-hander or a one-hander. It's really great if you have a two-hander because then you're already in that position to hit a two-hander. But if you just have a one-hander, it's still fantastic because you're not gonna load up too far. Now, something I will say, since we were talking about ready positions before, is if you watch Ben Johns, if he gives his opponents either a dead dink or his partner does, or he knows his opponents are about to speed up the ball, he'll actually grab on with two hands. So pay attention to that. He grabs on with two hands in this defensive position because it allows him to be able to react faster. So it just goes on to show ready position is very important, and also holding onto your paddle handle when it comes down to reacting to the ball that your opponent hits and having faster hands. So hold on to the throat of your paddle and you'll instantly increase your hand speed. If you're anything like me, you want the best pickleball gear at the best price. And pickleball gear is annoyingly expensive, especially if you want the best stuff. And so what's really cool is you can get 15% off any pickleball gear that your heart desires. So I actually got this paddle for $238. It's normally $279.99. All you have to do is go to lockerroompickleball.com and use code Playbook at checkout. They also have access to tons of different bags, balls, and even shoes. So stop spending so much on pickleball gear. Use code Playbook at checkout at lockerroompickleball.com. You won't regret it. I absolutely love the Perseus 4. Be sure to check it out. Okay, that brings us to tip number 1, and this is my favorite tip, just simply because it will increase your hand speed automatically without you having to do anything other than this. And that is to stop holding your paddle at the very bottom, just like this, with your hand hanging off. I know you watching this are probably like, oh, that's exactly how I hold my paddle. Why? Well, the reason why is because this puts all the weight on the very tip of your paddle. When we hold our paddle like this and the weight is on the tip of our paddle, automatically we're gonna be slower reacting to the ball. And so all that we have to do to have more control and more speed is shift our hand up. Now take note, I'm not saying to put your hand all the way up here on the throat. Obviously, you can still hit a two-handed backhand with this, but it's gonna make it more difficult and more awkward. A lot of people think if you shift your hand up for whatever reason, automatically you're unable to hit a two-handed backhand. Not true, but you don't wanna be way up here in this hold. You're gonna lack a ton of power and you're not gonna win hands battles. You're in that ping pong grip. And so since you don't have as much power, they're hitting all the power and now you're just pretty much having to react to their power. So don't go up too high, but what you do wanna do is shift it up, okay? This should feel relatively uncomfortable, but keep in mind, you're still holding the same exact grip. So now instead of being here, I am up here. Notice my palm is still kind of going off of the edge of that. You can play around with this, do what's comfortable for you. Remember, the further up the paddle you go, the more control you're gonna have, and ultimately, the faster your hand speed, because you're centralizing where your hand is at on the paddle. It's a lot like weighting your paddle here or putting a cap on the bottom of your paddle, which I like to do. This is a brand new paddle, so I haven't done it yet, but I'll typically use a slice speed cap, put it on the bottom, and it brings that weight down the paddle, instantly helping you to increase your hand speed, because it brings that weight down and not all the weight is in the tip. Keep in mind though, that when you put your hand up further, you automatically lose out on a little bit of power. So again, don't go up too high. If you're at the baseline, something that I like to do, and this doesn't have anything to do with hand speed, but it does have to do with the game of pickleball, which is really important. You're gonna be hitting drives. When I hit a drive, I wanna hang off the bottom because I want all the weight at the tip for two reasons. One, I'm gonna get more power and plow through the ball. And two, we're also gonna create more spin on the ball. When more weight is at the tip of our paddle, we can create more spin. So you're gonna get more power and more spin on your drives. And then as soon as you come up, you're just gonna do that. You just simply open your hand and you're coming further up the paddle. You're gonna have wicked fast reaction times. It's kind of weird to get used to, but if you notice, Gabe Tardio, one of the best players in the world, he plays with Ben Johns, and Ben Johns himself, they hold further up their paddle. in this position. Where Ben, you'll see a little bit of palm at the bottom, and Gabe, you don't see any palm at the bottom. You actually see the paddle hanging out. And he has a two-hander. You can totally fit a two-hander on there, just so you guys know. But this is what's increasing their hand speed. And these guys, obviously, they're the #1 ranked team for a reason, because they have wicked fast hands. They also do a ton of other stuff, but they have wicked fast hands, and this is just one of those reasons. So I strongly suggest doing this when you're up at the kitchen line, when you're at the baseline, in order to get more power and spin, hang off just a little bit. So what do you think? These are my 6 tips to helping you improve your hand speed. I know that they will. Let me know what you guys think of these below. I know that there will be haters out there. I know that there will be lovers out there, but let me know what you guys think. Regardless of what your opinion is, I would love to have a chat back and forth. Comment below, and if you want to continue improving your pickleball game, watch this video right here, and I will see you over there.